Hi, and welcome to the first lesson of Module 1. I really just want to start off by taking a moment to just acknowledge you. And you'll hear me kind of doing this on and off throughout the program. Just acknowledging you for actually taking the time out of all your daily busyness to engage this program for your own learning, health, and well-being. I mean, a lot of people you'll see kind of talking, and you've run into this, and this might have been you at some times, and certainly has been me, where we'll kind of talk a big game, but you don't necessarily put it into practice. And you're doing that right now. You're actually taking time out of your life to spend time really kind of with the intention of learning, with the intention of getting into a better place, and using and learning mindfulness and meditation to be a vehicle towards living in a particular way, maybe with a greater ease and less struggle and suffering, in your life. And so, I just want to take a moment to just acknowledge you for taking this time. So, okay. All right. So what is mindfulness? This question has come to me thousands and thousands of times, and no doubt come to thousands of other people thousands and thousands of times. But let's just clarify this to keep it really simple. Mindfulness is simply just being aware. That's really all it is. And I oftentimes say it's the verb of intentionally paying attention in a particular way with an engaged curiosity. So it's really an engaged practice. It's been said that it's with non-judgmental attention. And that word is sometimes clear for some people. For other people, it's a little bit confusing because, of course, as human beings, we're going to run across a situation, a person, whatever it is, and we're going to naturally judge. We have to do that to be safe. Is this safe or is this unsafe? Is this good or bad or right or wrong? Or is this fair or unfair? How should I feel about this? So it's okay to judge. So we're not looking to walk around with non-judgmental awareness all the time. Judgment is good and important to our lives. So, but it does help if we're going to develop something. We get caught into certain patterns in life, certain ways of reacting with family members, with coworkers, with ourselves, with our own emotions that can be unhealthy, get us into unhealthy patterns of communicating, unhealthy patterns of coping in our lives. That to be able to settle into and experience a more non-judgmental awareness can help us break out of that reactivity and then choose a different response. That's where the non-judgmental comes in. But I like to say with an engaged curiosity, because that's implicitly and automatically non-judgmental, and also just talks about what an engaged process this is. So with that said, a lot of people come to mindfulness because they've seen it in the magazines, or they've heard about it in the news, or they've heard about it from a friend or something like that, and they just said, I want some of this. What is this? They're curious about it, and certainly that's the way that I was introduced to it, and I'll tell you my story in a minute with it. But mainly we're all kind of looking to kind of alleviate our suffering, the struggling in life. We want more personal control. We want a sense of ease, a sense of clarity, of insight. And mindfulness says, hey, if you practice this stuff, you can get this. And so there's oftentimes there's a good analogy that speaks to this. It's said that if you're a person who walks on the earth and you find that the earth is really hurting your feet, well, then you should find pieces of leather and cover the earth with this leather. And then your problem will be solved. But where do we find the amount of leather that can cover the entire planet, or certainly all the surfaces that we're going to be walking on? That's impossible. And so it is, we oftentimes are looking to fix outside things to heal our pain, that's there. And so instead, what we might do is take a small piece of leather, wrap it around our foot like we've learned to do, and there, when we walk on the earth, it's no longer going to hurt our foot. And so it is with our minds. It's said that, if we just learn how to attend differently, if we just learn how to shift the way we're relating to things by using our minds, that's like putting leather on our feet when we're walking on those harder surfaces. So we can learn to train our minds with mindfulness, with this awareness, with this intentionally paying attention in a particular way. And we'll talk more about that soon. And with this engaged curiosity, with the idea of this being non-judgmental during the actual practice, so we can break out of the reactivity, the patterns, and see things a little clearer, a little differently. So in that way, we can break out of our a reactivity around anxiety. We can break out of our reactivity or irritability and communicating in ways that are unhealthy for us. We can break out of our reactivity around stress eating. We can break out of our reactivity of just being so self-critical with ourselves, which isn't necessarily helpful. We can all learn how to do this. It's a skill that we can all build, I promise. And so all it takes is the learning that you're doing right now and applications with practice and repetition over time. That's how we build a muscle. That's how we build, that's how we learn how to play an instrument. That's how we learned how to drive a car, if you learned that. That's how we learned how to walk, how to talk, all the same. It's really just like that. And so how I came, just to give you an idea, how it happened to me, this whole mindfulness thing, was, again, I think I relayed this story a little earlier, but I was, working hard and playing so much harder. And I came across a man eventually at this month-long retreat I went to who kind of introduced an orange to me, eating an orange with mindfulness, with this awareness. And I had this incredible experience that I wasn't intending to have at all. Body more relaxed, feeling more joy in the moment, and wanting more of that, and knowing that it didn't necessarily stick right away, but with coming back to it over and over again, with enough practice and repetition, started sticking more and more, really like anything else. And so here, what we're going to do here is I want to talk to you about how you can do this throughout your day. So before we kind of jump in with a formal practice, before I kind of teach you about the attitudes that are fundamentals to the success that's here, before we kind of jump in any of that, I want you to start simply. Habits are things that are developed the best when we have simple, doable type of tasks. So I want you to consider how you can bring awareness really into anything throughout your day. Like when you wake up, and I want to give you a number of examples here, and hopefully you have a pad of paper out or something like that, and you can take notes, because I want you to take notes, and as you're writing this down, say, yeah, check off, that one works for me, that one worked, no, that one's not good, I'm not going to be able to do that one, whatever it is, right? But I want you to be able to check it off and just say, this is what I can do. So let's start off with this. This is one of the tools I'm going to give you just in this lesson right here, and then we're going to do a short practice together, very short, that I'm going to ask you to bring into your day. That's it. Something totally doable, simple. You can easily implement it, and then you're going to have an experience from it. Okay, so first is throughout your day. What do? You can wake up in the morning, and as you're waking up, the first thing you do is you check in with your body. You're igniting awareness. How's my body feeling? Tired, heavy, achy, or maybe rested, if that's even within the sphere of possibility. By the end of this course, with practice and repetition, hopefully that becomes more of a reality if that's not one today. But wake up, soften your body, take a breath, check in. How am I doing right now? Simple question. Next thing to do, and I say this, and I wrote an article about this for mindful.org, and it kind of went bananas. And the idea is, wake up. What does my body need? Your body's been without water for many hours straight, typically. And so first thing you might want to do is just notice that and kind of take a sip of water before doing anything else. Begin to hydrate your body. That's just listening to your needs in the morning. So then, anyway, just to kind of give you some more examples that you're writing down and kind of checking off, you may want to notice you can use the shower as an opportunity to just notice the sensation of the water on your body, the temperature of the body, how it may feel good. And you may also bring in, like I've learned to do, some wonderful soaps into your shower experience to get some aromatherapy. Like really, like the olfactory part of our brain can really impact our emotions. And so if you bring in like a rose or a peppermint, depending on what aromatherapy impacts you, you can really kind of start off your day on the right foot. So just noticing how that feels. With your food, you can pay attention to it. Where'd it come from? Who was involved in making it with the breakfast? This all seems like this would all take a whole lot of time to do. What are you talking about? Waking up and doing this and going in the shower and doing that and then you're asking me to pay attention to my food? But really, this could go quite fast. It's the awareness piece that we're after. So you're noticing where it come from, who's involved in making it, maybe. What are the ingredients of what I'm eating right now? And maybe a moment of gratitude for everyone, including yourself, who was able to get the food together to bring it to you in the morning. Yourself, meaning like you maybe prepared it, and you also worked to afford to be able to purchase whatever the ingredients are for this food. And then you take the first couple bites with just noticing the taste, right? These are just very simple things to do, right? Wonderful thing to do is on your drive, or if you're taking a public transportation, or even if you're walking to work, if you do that, or whatever you do to transport yourself during the day for whatever reason, stoplights, wonderful opportunity to just pause, soften your body, check in. And we'll do this stop practice in a moment, which I'm going to ask you to begin with, which I think will be quite powerful for you. So you're just kind of doing that, right? You're softening your body, you're taking a deep breath. Stoplights, when you're talking to people during the day, just pause. We have two ears and one mouth because we're supposed to listen twice as much as we speak. Pause and just listen. People love when they're listened to. And you feel so much more connected when you feel listened to. Just think about it for yourself. When you listen to people, here's another thing. Just write it down. Check it off if it's something you want to kind of play with more. And your mind might be saying, and this is all an awareness exercise, right? So your mind might be saying like, I've done, this is stuff I've heard of before. And just say, well, I always say like, you don't actually know it unless you're regularly practicing it. So just check in with yourself. Is this something I regularly practice? And maybe some of it is, and maybe some of it's kind of stuff I can add in. And so we're just listening. And you could do that, brushing your teeth, being aware you're brushing your teeth, going to the bathroom, feel the sensations of going to the bathroom. I know, and this might sound a little silly, but if sometimes you really have to go to the bathroom, and that moment that you just experience that release is a really euphoric moment. And so allow yourself to just be aware of that and savor that. Feel it throughout your body. It's great. It's one of the joys in life. Potentially, depends on the person. So these are just some examples, right, that you can do. And then before bed, take a moment, just kind of settle in, notice how you're feeling. Take some breaths, maybe do the practice we're about to do. Really kind of pay attention. These are just some examples of things you can bring into your day. If you're listening to music, allow yourself to just close your eyes or keep them open and just kind of notice how the music impacts your body, impacts your emotions. Just be aware of how all this feels. It's all possible. And what we're doing, we're practicing, repeating, being aware. That's it. That's all we're doing in simple ways throughout the day. Okay, so here's a practice, very simple practice. It's an acronym. You may have heard of it before, but I want to teach it to you anyway, and I want you to see if you can begin practicing and putting it into your day once or twice a day. If you're really an overachiever, go for 3 times because it's only like a 1 to 2 minute practice, right? And you can do it in even a shorter amount of time. So it's stop. Stop. Take a deep breath, maybe in through your nose, out through your mouth. Take as many deep breaths as you need, as you have the luxury to do. You're welcome to. Then observe, how am I feeling? 3 things happening in any given moment. My body's feeling a particular way. I'm having a particular emotional experience, and there's a quality to my attention. I'm either distracted and cluttered, or I'm actually attending right now. There's things on my mind, in other words. So we're doing those 3 things. We're stopping, taking a deep breath, or as many as you need, observing your experience. How's my body feeling? Is it tensing? Is it holding? Can I allow it to soften? And I'm having certain emotional experience. I feel calm, at ease. I feel irritated. I feel anxious, comfortable, uncomfortable. And then my mind seems distracted, or I have all these things of work on my mind, or things about my family, or whatever it is. And so then we're proceeding by asking ourselves the question, okay, what is it that I'm wanting to pay attention to? Okay, so I'm going to guide you through it. This first video is a little bit longer than some of the other ones will be, but I want to kind of give you these real foundations around mindfulness and how to, just things we can bring to make it a habit. So you have things throughout the day that we've discussed that you can do, and you also have this stop practice that we're going to be practicing right now. Okay, so get in a comfortable position, either seated or lying down, or you can even be standing. It's perfectly fine. And start off by just taking a deep breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. If you need to take an extra deep breath, you're welcome to do that. And then just beginning observing your body, noticing how your body's feeling right now. If you're feeling, if it's feeling tense, or if there's any sense of holding that's there. And if there is, just seeing if you can allow that to soften. Notice how, with awareness, you can actually choose to allow your body to soften or do a gentle adjustment, just to open up any tense areas that are there. And then you might want to notice how you're feeling emotionally right now. And you can just start off very simply with comfortable, uncomfortable, neutral. Could be comfortable, uncomfortable, or maybe you're feeling more specific feelings, irritation, anxiety, or maybe calm or ease, looseness that's there. And also noticing the quality of your attention right now. Being aware if you're able to settle into this space, this short practice, or if you seem distracted by the things. And if so, just name that, distracted. Come back, soften your body. And in this case, we're going to proceed by just coming back to being together right now. But in any other instance, you might proceed by saying, hey, what's most important for me to pay attention to right now? Or what am I needing right now? You're widening that space between stimulus and response, where choice, possibility, and freedom lie. And you have the freedom to soften your body, loosen your body, the freedom to attend to something different. Because with awareness, you gain the ability, the freedom to attend to what you want to attend to in life. And there's nothing more precious than our attention. This is the attention economy that we're in now. And so you, with practice and repetition, are strengthening the ability to just widen that space, choose to be aware of what you want to pay attention to. Okay, so that's it. Just notice how you're feeling now. Just be aware of that and note that. This is the practice I'm going to ask you to bring into your life right now. That's it. And we're going to refine it with giving you certain attitudes for you to attend to. We're going to refine it with giving you kind of a little bit of a longer breathing practice and a couple extra lessons. And then we're also going to be giving you just a couple extra things for you to begin attending to, just to build the foundations of success. In the next lesson, I'm going to talk to you about the power of focus. And also maybe like why the wandering mind is actually important. But for now, just attend to this, and you'll see this in the tools below, just ways you can bring mindfulness into your life throughout the day. Remember to check those off. Want to make this really easy for you to do, and make sure you experience a real high value, so there's not as many obstacles in applying this to your life. Okay, all right, that's it for now. See you in the next lesson.